Can you hear us now, Renee?
Yep, I'm back.
Thank
Can
you.
you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening and welcome to the Pittsford Central School District Board of Education meeting. If you could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So before we begin our meeting this evening, on behalf of the Board of Education and the central office team, I'd like to take a moment to send our heartfelt prayers to the Beckford family. I would ask that each of our families remain vigilant during this time. If you see something, say something. As these types of emergencies arise, know that each school in the district has trained mental health staff who are available to assist anyone who wants to talk and share about this situation. They are part of the TIG team, Trauma, Illness, and Grief. There's a district-wide process to access the assistance needed. Each TIG member has received intensive training as part of a county-wide system to address social and emotional needs when there is an event such as this. This morning, the Sutherland High School principal convened his team before school to outline plans for the day for those who may need assistance. Safety is a great concern. Like our parents and guardians, the district also emphasizes personal safety and helps speaking with a trusted adult if someone is upset. In a time like this, reminding our children of the safety measures at home and school is important. There is a tip line in place for anyone who may have any information that would assist in bringing Paris Beckford home safely. The tip line is 1-877-97-BAMFI, or you may also dial 911. Thank you. If I may have an approval of the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any edits? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. May I have an approval of the minutes from September 30th? Thanks, Val.
Second.
Thanks, Ted. Any edits? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Board of Education reports. We are in full swing. We have board leadership next meeting, which is the 4th of November. Executive committee meeting, which is the 2nd of December. I had a hard time reading December. That feels like far away. Information exchange is tomorrow, and just for everyone's knowledge, the topic is going to be reopening schools with mental health and equity in mind. Are you going to be, who's going to be there tomorrow? Robin? Irene, are you? No? Okay. And I'll be there as well. Labor Relations, the next meeting is the 21st of October. Legislative is the 4th of November. Steering Committee, just a reminder, is a Zoom meeting at 4 p.m. And Community Outreach is to be determined. Dates to remember, the 14th of October, which is tomorrow, we have a board retreat. It will be held in the Sutherland High School LGI. and that's for COT and the board. We're looking forward to that, and we're meeting with Natalie McGee. I don't know if you want to mention anything, Mike?
I'll share a little at the end.
Okay. All right. Human Resource Report.
That is me this evening. On the professional staff report of note is the hiring of what we consider 2 retired master teachers, and that is to support our new hires, if you will, for remote learning. It's really hard to be in your first couple years of teaching and being assigned remote to do that. So in order to provide additional support for the teachers, we've gone to our retirement well of wonderful and talented people, and we have 2 teachers that we would like to hire 3 days a week. So for your consideration is the professional staff report.
Thanks, Mike. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thanks, Ted. Thanks, Robin. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
And there's very little activity going on in the support staff report, so I present that to you for your consideration.
May I have a motion, please? Thanks, Irene. Thanks, Pete. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Mike. Student Services Report. Dr. Pat.
You're welcome. Just gonna get that up before. There you go.
Remember that? Okay. Thank you very much for allowing me to share information tonight. And I welcome any of the families who are from our schools who are here to listen in about the Title I program as well as our policy review. So my hope for tonight is to share with you about the Title I process, a little bit about how we apply for the grants and what they're for, identify our schools that will receive funding and our recommended services. We have a draft policy that has been posted on the website for folks to see as well as in your packets. And we also want to offer an opportunity during the public comment sections, and if any of the families who are participating and watching tonight would like to share information. So Title I, there are several title grants that are federal grants operated through the state. We submit them each year, and it's part of what's called a consolidated application process. The New York State Department of Education is responsible for this, and we provide a variety of information and materials in order to apply. Title I is a school improvement plan grant, and we apply for what's called Part A of that, which is improving basic programs. In order to be eligible, we have to look at the poverty rate at each of our schools. New York State defines our current poverty rate in Pittsford at 3.47%. So our schools that are eligible to receive funding are those schools that are above that poverty rate. This year we also had the opportunity to participate in a desk audit by New York State Department of Education. And with an audit such as that, there always comes some lovely accolades as well as some tasks to be completed and some reflective work to do upon our programs. And in this case, in particular, we needed to update our policy because it contained a little bit older information, and we needed to provide additional newer legislative information and other items. We also were impacted by COVID this year, just like everything else. So our processes to submit the application needed to be condensed. Our involvement was less because people were not available. So we recognize that this is an unusual year, and we'll be able to pick up again the next school year. So we receive this year, right now our allocation is listed at about $173,000. While that is not a tremendous amount of money in terms of our overall budget, it's really important and provides needed services across the district. Unfortunately, these funds have been declining each year. So over about a 4-year period, we declined about $14,000. We were at maybe 187 or 188 4 years ago. This grant also requires the school district to reach out to all of the private and parochial schools that our students attend, not only the ones within our district, which are Allendale, St. Louis, and Trinity Montessori, but any other program that our residents attend, our resident students attend. And if those students reside in the boundaries of the schools that are eligible for funding, we have to offer that opportunity for those schools to receive funds. Most do not take advantage of that. This year we had 2 schools who are interested in taking advantage of that. There's a variety of reasons, including determination of eligibility that these schools cite for either participating or not participating. So our 4 schools this year who will be receiving funds are Allen Creek, Park Road, Calkins Road, and Sutherland. And there's an important note here on the slide, and it's essential that all of us are aware of this. In order to be eligible to receive the funds, the school overall has a poverty rate above the 3.47 this year. That varies by year. But once we identify a school, any student in that school can receive services if they are at risk of not passing or meeting the standards. So I think there's often a misnomer in terms of who can benefit from these funds. Once our schools are defined, it's any student within that school. And that's the way that we operate our program. Students who are eligible for free and reduced lunch comprise those who, where we look at that 3.47%. And another important thing to note is that is confidential information. No one has that information outside of food service where the original application for free and reduced lunches reside. None of us here have that information. We don't share that information by law and best practice. So the services we recommend for the 4 schools are based upon their needs. Oops. And they're pretty common services that we've used over the years. Each of the schools benefit from additional reading services. The schools receive additional support from Pittsford Youth Services, additional mental health, social emotional support. We often provide tutoring, particularly as the school year continues on. And then there's also times where different supplies and materials are needed for those particular schools. So we've included the draft parent engagement policy in the packet, and there are some very important points in there. One is the role of annual meetings for families. This will constitute that right now, given our COVID situation, and the buildings also will have annual meetings, so where they can talk about the programs and services, how the funds are used, etc. They do plans with the students, with the parents, and then also we do an evaluation at the end of every school year. Did the students who were able to receive services from Title I make progress? And that's an annual event, and we report that to the state as well. It's also important that we work with families to reduce barriers to participation. There are funds that we set aside within the grant that if we have transportation issues or other types of things where we can help reduce the barriers for families, we're able to use those funds. We also set aside funds for students and families who may be homeless if they need additional support. So all of that comes out of the $173,000. Other important pieces of the policy include school compacts, training and support for families and staff, disseminating procedures to file a complaint, and filing an annual report to the state, ensuring comparability of services. A lot of these things are already done on a regular basis. For example, disseminating procedures for filing a complaint has been in the superintendent's, in the newsletter that we send out, as well as it's on the website. Each year we do file a report ensuring that our services across the district are comparable, so that students who are residing in the geographic areas of the schools receiving Title I funds are receiving the same quality education as all of our students, and we've never had an issue with that. in any of our years of using these funds. Certainly training and support occurs on a regular basis as well. So tonight, when we have public comment, or at any point the board can certainly share questions, input, or comments, and then when we have public comment, if there are families that would like to share information, we're happy to receive that tonight. And if someone does not want to do that in the public session, I ask them to email me so we can incorporate this into our future plans for Title I services. So I thank you, and I'll entertain any questions.
Anyone? Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Okay, special education report. Elizabeth.
We have CSE and CPSE recommendations on the consent agenda.
Thank you. Superintendent's report. Mike.
There is not a need for an executive session this evening. On the consent agenda, you'll see policy approval for identification and education of students in temporary housing. And also in your packet, you should see policy 7611, children with disabilities, for first reading. A few announcements before we continue. I want to share with the community just a little bit about what happens when a student or a staff member tests positive for COVID. And I'll just take you through briefly what happened yesterday. Yesterday I was contacted by an administrator that was contacted by a parent that said that their child had tested positive. So the first thing I want to do is say thank you to the parent who reached out to the administrator, because that allowed us a lot more time throughout the course of the day to work with the county health department. Once I was informed, I contacted Monroe County Health Department, and they assigned a contact tracer to the district. When I was on the phone with the contact tracer, we exchanged information. For example, like when was the last day the student was in school, what is his or her involvement in extracurricular activities, etc. Then the contact tracer met with the family, and through the tracing process, notified anyone that needed to be quarantined. And then circled back with me, that we followed through with the contact tracer to end that loop. In my conversation with the county health department, we spoke quite a bit about how rare it will be to do a full contact trace within our buildings because of the social distancing and the mask wearing. They feel that we have a gold standard in how we are opening our schools right now. And so we feel really good about what we're doing in our buildings. The county health department feels like we're doing everything we should. It was inevitable that we would have a COVID case. I'm happy that we were able to catch it on a day that we did not have school. And I also will say I have to thank the county health department again for their level of responsiveness. The other thing I want to just remind families about is we're doing such a great job with our protocols, and we're only going to be as good as our community and those around us as far as staying open because of following protocols. So I just worry a little bit with Thanksgiving coming up. I worry a little bit about our December break, our February break, and families traveling and staff members traveling out of state or to a territory that's on the New York State Travel Advisory List. So right now there's 38 states or territories that are on the Travel Advisory List. Similarly, traveling internationally to a CDC level 2 or 3 travel health notice country, any of those things can be quite a bit, put us at risk more than we need to be. So I would ask that if you are traveling to any of the places that are on a travel advisory list, that upon return you notify your building administrator and then you begin your 14 days of quarantining. couple other pieces of information. On Thursday, we will have a webcast that will be done with Dr. Mendoza, myself, Superintendent Kasorik from Hilton, and the BOCES 2 superintendent as the facilitator. And that's being done through an organization called Act for Education. Act for Education started in 2014, and the goal, and I'm on Act for Education, is to deliver positive messaging about the impact of local public schools through a unified voice. 22 participating districts, including Rochester City School District, BOCES 1 and BOCES 2, are part of Act for Education. It consists of nearly 24 business and community partners, and we've been working with community partners and media outlets to share positive messages through TV, radio, and social media. This year, we are hosting a series of webcasts to provide our community with accurate and up-to-date information about our local schools during the pandemic. On Thursday at noon, you can hear myself and Dr. Mendoza and the superintendent from Hilton and BOCES 2 discuss information about the pandemic and our schools. If you're interested, please go to actforeducation.org, and you can click the button that says webcast, or you can go to our homepage and click partners and then click Act for Education. In the second paragraph, there's a live link to that site. It will be pre-recorded, but when it's on at noon, there is a live chat feature, and we will all be on the live chat feature answering any questions. Real random piece of information around snow days. In the event that we close for a snow day, we will actually close school, and students can enjoy the tradition of a snow day. We can do this because we started school almost a week ahead of other schools. Things that would cause this to change would be if we had any type of intermittent shutdown. So as of right now, as far as attendance days, we are close to a typical school year. Tomorrow night, our Board of Education Central Office team will be meeting with National Equity Consultant Natalie McGee. We're going to discuss best practices as it relates to communication with our students and families around topics specific to equity and inclusion. We will receive feedback about an equity policy that we're beginning. We'll also receive feedback about best way to further our code of conduct work and our best way to formulate a strong district-wide equity and inclusion plan. This will be our first of 2 or 3 meetings. This Thursday, I will also, at our district planning team meeting, we'll be discussing the structure and working with Natalie moving forward. In other words, our district planning team will talk about the engagement and involvement of other people that needs to be working with Natalie at the secondary level, elementary level, and then what committees we should pull together so that it can be pretty comprehensive, including parent involvement. And excitingly, today is the start of our Board Appreciation Week. It's actually a week early. Board Appreciation Week is next week, but we'd rather be early than late. So I would one of the things that the community did not see tonight that the Board of Ed did see, and including myself, was that our POP unit and our PDTA unit both made a video of gratitude towards all that our Board of Education does. I think it's remarkable that they took the time to create such a great montage. And so I'd also like to take a minute to thank the Board of Education for being exemplary in so many different ways. And then we have some gifts for all of our board members. So I want to thank our Board of Education for taking the time to tour all 10 of our buildings at 7 a.m. in the morning in snow, rain, wind, once in a while sun. Also for participating and in some cases leading multiple regularly held county meetings. For your commitment to professional development through workshops and scheduled retreats. For hours of preparedness for board meetings. For attendance at so many different events. For meetings with multiple community members. For holding yourselves accountable during annual board evaluations. For goal setting. For attending opening day and PTSA meetings, for being visible in our schools, for leading with your heart in so many ways, for volunteering with Rotary and with PTSA, especially at the Super Sale, for never having a singular focus, but looking at all the pieces and always doing what is best for our students, staff, and community at large, and for always pushing one another, and especially me, to be the best leaders for our school community. Our community is extremely fortunate to have 7 highly dedicated, smart, caring, and compassionate leaders, and I can't thank you enough. So with that, on behalf of myself and the central office team, we want to thank you for all you do. I also have a couple gifts, and then I'd like to turn it over to Sean while he's on, outside of public comment. Actually, no, Sean, you're going to have to wait. I think we're going to have to keep it consistent. So I do want to present you with a couple different things. So while we say it's always 70 and sunny in Pittsburgh, it's not always the case. So here are Pittsburgh Central School golf umbrellas for when it's not 70 and sunny in Pittsburgh.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you. And I will keep Renee's for her.
This is great.
And then I also have,
This is
it's a bit
hysterical.
random, except for Pete and Ted will have the same. Everything else, feel free to trade.
Is this a TED? That's
A Ted thing.
Okay.
That's a TED
That's a
thing?
TED Talk. Just want to make sure that you have the...
I'm all ready for the weather.
Oh my gosh, I feel like.
Spend all day on
Okay, these are not labeled at all. So if you open them and see one that you like better and you have a mutual trade agreement, feel free.
Yep.
And I have Belle over here. Feel free to open them now. They are to assist with your mask. They are decorative in
Oh my
nature.
gosh, these are lovely.
So they're all different except for Ted's and
I love
Pete's. Sorry, gentlemen.
No, I like it.
But if you see one that you like better, feel free to trade it in.
Oh, I
Here's
love it.
Renee, here's yours. Let me see. Ooh, this is my favorite one, Renee. This is my favorite one.
Oh, that's a nice one. Very colorful.
you.
Okay.
Thank you.
To keep your
Thank
mask
you.
secure.
This is wonderful.
Thank you, thank you.
And I would also say it goes nicely with Piaf's gift of a Pittsburgh mask.
I love it.
Nice. Very functional.
And there's Cookie.
Yes.
And before I turn it over on the agenda, I'd also like to acknowledge a note from the PEOP president. Says, "Dear Board of Education members, on behalf of PEOP, I would like to express our gratitude to each of you for volunteering endless hours of hard work. Thank you for your dedication to staff, families, our community, and to the equity and excellence for each of our students. Please accept our donation to the Pittsford Education Foundation as a token of our appreciation." And so we have a check for the Pittsford Education Foundation. I'm also going to read, and Sean, do you want me to read this, or do you want to just talk about it in a minute?
I can hardly hear you, Mike.
Okay, great. We will. We're going to have you talk about it, and then I'll share with the board when it's that time.
Okay, so I'm up. All right.
Go
I
ahead.
hope everyone can hear me okay. I just wanted to, on behalf of the PDAA, I know you've heard a lot of wonderful things, but I needed to come on personally to thank you on behalf of all of us in the PDAA, because on any given year, the work that you do is important. This year, it's never been more important. There's never been a more challenging time in public education in our modern history, and the fact that you are here and dedicated day in and day out is just really inspiring to all of us in PDAA. And our gratitude for your support has really been a major factor in allowing us to reopen so successfully this year. So I just needed to say that personally and just share my sincerest gratitude for everything that you do. So thank you so, so much.
Thank you,
And
Sean.
Anthony, I see that Sarah's in there, so why don't we go ahead and bring in Pittsburgh PTSA? I think that Sarah wanted to say a few words. Hi, Sarah. We're going out of order a little bit, so you're on right now if you'd like to be.
I don't think she can hear.
Can Sarah hear me or not?
Yes.
Okay. So welcome, Sarah.
Hi.
We're going out of a little bit out of order here.
Okay. Well, I'll go with it. On behalf of the Pittsburgh Central PTSA, I would like to take this opportunity to express gratitude to one of the hardest working groups of volunteers in the Pittsburgh community. The Pittsburgh Board of Education works tirelessly to uphold their vision for excellence in Pittsburgh schools. In the most challenging year to date, you have shown our community an uncompromised commitment to our students, maintaining focus around their ever-changing needs. In your honor, Pittsburgh Central PTSA has pledged a donation to the Pittsburgh Education Foundation in support of your commitment to the success of our Pittsburgh students. Thank you for your continued dedication to Pittsburgh Central School District.
That's great, Sarah. Thank you. Sean, thank you so much.
And the last item on my report, I wanted to close again with keeping Paris Beckford and her family in our thoughts and our prayers for a safe return home. Let's keep the Beckford family close in our thoughts until we have Paris back. Thank you.
If I could just take a moment to say thank you on behalf of the Board of Education for all of the acknowledgments tonight. We certainly, this isn't something that we expect, but it's something that we truly appreciate. Each one of us, I can say, is so proud to be a part of a team that's dedicated to the mission and vision of the Pittsburgh Central School District. And unique times require us to be unified and to have civility and to have perseverance. We're here to serve in the best and worst times, and we could not be more proud of the work that we accomplish as Pittsburgh Strong and One Pittsburgh. So thank you so much for all of the acknowledgments. Thank you for working with us. Thank you. Okay, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Old business? New business? Public comment. Just a reminder for anyone who's in the waiting room, if you could limit your comment to 3 minutes and state your name and address, that would be great.
And if you are in for public comment, please make sure that you're closing out of your area and use the Zoom link.
Anthony, do we see anyone? Okay. Unless Sean or Sarah have something that they'd like to say, we will close out public comment. And may I have a motion to adjourn?
Second. So moved.
Thanks, Ted. He's ready to go. Anyone for a second, please? Thank you, Val. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Have a great night.